Hello everyone, this is Lone Star Lawman back with another video, and this is part 2 of concealed carry protocols. I had a great time during the video last time I was with y'all, and I've got some more information for you today that will help you in your quest to get that concealed carry permit. Just in case if you're a brand new gun owner or fixing to get a gun, I should be smart enough to let y'all know about the rules of carry and also the rules of firearm safety, which is something I want to go with y'all over with just to say that I did. And remember, every video I put out is just for educational and informational use and based on my years of experience. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the 4 handgun rules, or 4 firearm rules, I should say, any firearm. Okay, first thing is you treat all firearms as if they're loaded, or if they are not. Never point the muzzle at anything you're not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on target and you're ready to fire. Be sure of your target and what's beyond it. Okay. If I mentioned in the last video and I'm repeating myself, forgive me, but that's important. I probably should put in every video, right? Okay. All right, if you want to buy your first pistol and you're not sure about concealed carry yet, you just want to go find one. If you made up your mind that you're going to use it for home defense, just get you can get a large one, full-size one, I should say. This is an example of a full-size pistol right here. This is my 1911 TSOS, or TSOS, I think is how you pronounce it. 1911 A145 ACP. That's kind of a large caliber. Most people nowadays go for 380 or 9mm. As you can see, it's a large gun and has a 5-inch barrel. That's something of this size. Doesn't have to be this gun particularly. Is good in the home because you can get a good gun that has balance and is easier to shoot. Okay. But the ones you want to get for concealed carry, I recommend for most people, not everybody, to get something in the compact or subcompact size. Let me show you a gun here that is more of the compact size. This is actually subcompact. This is a Kahr P9. It is mostly considered a subcompact. A compact would be just a little longer here, maybe, and maybe a little wider or whatever. But that's the size of a subcompact. Now, to show you all these guns have been checked prior to the video for safety. Nothing in this chamber of this one right here, and nothing when it was in the other one. Okay. All right. This Kahr I've had for quite a few years. It's a 9mm, by the way. 9mm is the rage right now as far as concealed carry and even open carry. This is, like I said, one of their smaller guns. It's a striker fired pistol. That means it's a long pull to hit the striker to make it go off. A lot of people don't like them because of that, but I like it because I just feel more safe with a longer action there, because that way it won't go off when it's not supposed to, right? Okay, and while I'm showing you this gun, since this is a subcompact, it is something that you would want to carry. I'll show you the holsters that I have. I can carry it 3 different ways. One is outside the waistband with this holster. This is the Kahr, Vetter holsters, V-E-D-D-E-R, Vetter holsters. It's got these nice little pancake wings. That's the option. That was optional that I got. You can see I like to write it down in there, not because sometimes I just have a bad day and forget which holster to get, right? Okay. All right. Now the other one for this holster is an inside the waistband holster. It's a hybrid, what they call a hybrid. What they mean by that is it's got a Kydex shell with a leather backer. You can see it has the K9 on there. And this particular model, the holster, you put this clip over your belt, and the whole thing sits inside your waistband. Now, if you're wearing a dress shirt, you can always, this is called a tuckable, you can always tuck it in behind here, and then it'll cover up everything except the clip. And people see a clip on there, people don't even know what's going on when they see that. Okay. Here's one more. Okay. This is a pocket holster. Okay. This is DeSantis Nemesis. The DeSantis Nemesis. As you can see how it's shaped and everything, and it covers the complete trigger guard. That's one thing you should do when you get the right holster, is make sure it covers the complete trigger guard so it won't go off. This would go in your front pants pocket if the pockets are large enough. The only drawback about this thing is if you have to draw it, you'll have to pull the holster out first to redraw it and reholster, I should say. So that's something that you should know about. Also, carrying spare magazines is important, especially if you have a smaller gun like that, because this gun only carries 7 rounds, 7, 8 if you get a little bit larger magazine. So that's something that you should be very aware of. And I'll show you a pouch with a couple of car magazines. I always carry the double. That's what I did in law enforcement. I always carried a double pouch. Some people just carry one single one, which is fine. Just depends on what you feel comfortable doing. This is a 7-rounder. This is an 8-rounder. Okay, these are tension screws. You need to tighten them up as needed to make sure that the magazines won't fall out. Okay, and on the back side here, of course, you can see where the belt goes through, right through here. And it'll secure to your belt, no problem. Okay. I'm not going to show you the Core Essentials belt that I would recommend. I have that in one of my videos. Please refer to my videos for that. It's a very stiff belt, and they come in nylon or leather. They have great belt buckles, and they work on a ratcheting system. In other words, as you push the belt together, it's the ratchets, and you can tighten it exactly at the place where you want it, and it'll be very comfortable. That's what I would recommend with that. Okay, let's move on here. Oh, also, I didn't bring it out, but a double action revolver is something that people still carry. I should carry one only as a backup, only because it has a small barrel. And I'm going to go show you that right now. Okay, what I have here is a revolver. You can see there's no bullets in the gun. Free and safe to handle. Close the cylinder inside like that. This has a swing out cylinder. You press a button right here where my thumb is right here, and it swings out. And then you load the way I was taught to load the cartridges was like holding it like this in this hand and put them in like this. There are things called speed loaders where it's a cylinder-like thing that holds all 6, and you just line them up and it drops in. Okay. This is a 357 Magnum. However, what's great about 357 Magnums, you can shoot the full Magnum rounds, or you can shoot 38 Special. 38 Special is a lot lighter kick, I can guarantee you. If you get one of these type of guns on this size, I would recommend getting one made of alloy. If you get a 357, if you get a 38, it wouldn't be so bad. But this is an all steel 357, and I carry full Magnum loads in it. And I usually carry this only as a backup gun. Okay, these are Crimson Trace laser grips. It has a laser on it. I got this back when lasers were the rage, but it's just a comfortable fit in my hand, so I like it a lot. But one thing about double action revolvers, I'll just demonstrate with my left hand, is it takes a lot more force to pull the trigger. But the way to do this is just roll it. Roll it like you're rolling a tire. Roll it. Roll it. Okay? Controlled though. You gotta learn how to work the action and your breath and your trigger control and everything else. I'll tell you a funny story. When I became a policeman here in where I live, the recruiting sergeant, when I was applying, wanted me to do a little test. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, he took out of his drawer a .38 revolver, which was a little bigger than this one, longer barrel anyway. And he handed it to me and opened the cylinder, closed it, and make sure it was safe. And he told me to hold it out to my side in my right hand and fire it 6 times. You know, like going like that. And then he told me to go to the other one and do the same thing, of course, pointing in a safe direction. Believe it or not, he told me, he said the reason why he had that, and we carried revolvers back then, is because some men, and especially females, sorry ladies, had a trouble working these double action because they weren't strong enough to do that. So that's why that was. But let's remember, if you get one of these, it might be a little harder. Smith & Wesson, which is this is they make great actions. Like, you know, they'll be a little longer and harder and whatever, but they're some of the best in business, okay? And the best thing about having a revolver like this in your concealed carrying, there's a chance that you might get in a fight or something like that, and all of a sudden you have to pull your gun, and then it doesn't work. It got hung up on something, or it misfired, or whatever, or it gets knocked from your hand even. And all of a sudden you got this person on top of you, beating the hell out of you, maybe even trying to kill you with a knife or whatever. So as a backup gun, you can have one of these. I usually carry it in the opposite side of where my other gun is so I can get to it. And then if you have to, shove it in the belly and do what you need to do. I know that's pretty graphic, and I hate to talk about things like that, but it's something that you have to consider if you're going to concealed carry. Some people carry backup guns, most people don't. That's just my guess. I don't know that for sure. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Already told you about 380 9mm being the most common used today. That's what you're going to have to decide. My wife actually carries a 380, a Glock 42. It doesn't hold very many rounds, only 6 rounds. But that's all she wanted, and she was comfortable with that. And she's a very small woman, 4'9", and she's a little woman, so that doesn't mean it was bad or not. She just felt comfortable doing that with a Glock 42. Okay. And by the way, stick around because I'm going to let you know at the end of this video, ladies, I have something special for y'all. Okay. One thing I should tell you, if you're going to buy, when you buy a new gun or you buy for concealed carry, a lot of these pistols are what we call optics ready. In other words, there's a plate. I'll just demonstrate. It's not on this gun, but there's a plate right here that you can take on and off and then slip an optic on it. And then the optic will work for you as long as you sight it in and everything. Optics are great. They have some important uses, but I would not start out in firearms or firearms concealed carry without some real hard training on the fundamentals using iron sights. Because it's very important that you do that, because there may be a time if you do get an optic later and your optic malfunctions, or the battery goes dead, or maybe you're taking incoming rounds and a bullet deflects off it and breaks it or whatever. I mean, I'm being very extreme, but yeah, you got to learn the fundamentals using iron sights. Now you go 2, 3, 4 months, 5 months using the iron sights and you feel very comfortable and you're shooting really good and you want to go get an optic, that's fine. There's a lot of great ones out there, believe me. For concealed carrier, I don't need an optic. I don't think I need an optic. With carrying a gun for 48 years and I shoot in the high 90s when I ever go qualify with my old police department. So I feel very comfortable with it. So I don't do it. But you can if you want to. And a good thing too is if you're just getting it for home defense, it may be good in a home where you have more distance. It's like you're on a staircase, the person's down in your living room or whatever like that. So that they're not a bad thing. They're just something you have to get used to and train with, just like anything. Okay. Once you have committed, um, find a range, indoor or outdoor. Indoors, I think, are a little easier because they have a lot of trainers in there in classrooms, and they will. You can take a basic firearms course, safety course, where you take your gun in, you get familiar with it. Your instructor talks to you about all the parts and how it works and ins and outs and everything, and how to line up your sights, how to do your breath control, how to have a proper grip, all those important things. Okay. Then once you feel like you're comfortable and you go out and shot a little bit, and you say, okay, I'm ready to concealed carry, or at least I want to get the license, and when I do decide to carry, because you don't once you get it, you don't have to carry all the time, but until you feel confident. Once you feel confident, I would take the concealed carry class, and most of those ranges have them. Okay, and while I'm talking about that, for the ladies, I told you I was going to tell you about the ladies. Um, there are. This is what's really great about the ladies. It has exploded over the country over uh, ladies uh, concealing carry. Okay, because of the reasons: stalking, restraining orders on people that you don't want to bother you. So they buy guns to protect themselves in their home, and then they want to make sure they have that same protection on the outside, so they get a concealed carry permit. There is an organization that is in every state and locale in this country called A Girl and a Gun. A Girl and a Gun. And it's on the internet. And what's great about these clubs, it's a club, gun club. And when you join, you can take those basic firearm safety courses, license to carry or carry permit, whatever your state is. And your instructors will be ladies, and all your classmates will be ladies. That's a very good way to go because you'll feel comfortable, be around people like yourself that want to do the same thing, that concealed carry and want to protect themselves. And it's really grown, and it's something that I think every lady should look into. Okay, make sure you familiarize yourself with state law, stand your ground laws, council doctrine. I may have mentioned that earlier. Um, the type of holster that you might want to get could be like the Kydex I was showing you, or leather. There's a lot of good leather ones out there too. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Also, like I said, I know I mentioned those earlier, but I forgot to mention leather, especially leather you can get. Okay. Now let's talk about dress. Um, you have to learn how to dress, which complements the use of your gun and hides it to a reasonable expectation. In my state, Texas, concealed carry and open carry is legal. So if I don't get it quite right one day, as long as it's covered up and even it prints a little bit, it doesn't bother me too much because we are open and concealed carry. But you might be in a state that has printing laws. What I mean by printing is that your shirt prints the gun if it's too tight. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make some decisions on your clothing of what you wear. I usually wear a large polo shirt over my waist so you can't see my gun. I've learned to do it even with an outside the waistband holster. It's just something you're going to have to experiment and work on. The ladies, you can get, they have something like thigh holsters that you can wear with a skirt, underneath the skirt on your thigh, things like that. Because of a lady's shape, sometimes it's very hard for them to carry at 3 o'clock on the right or left side, or 9 o'clock. Because of that hip bone sticking out right there, it's more pronounced with the ladies. At least that's what I've been told. And they either wear their gun a little bit forward of the hip or maybe slightly behind the hip. That's another way they can carry. Or they can, if they're wearing a pantsuit, they can wear a little jacket or something like that. That's something that you have to experiment and decide for yourself what you like. Okay. Mentioned most of this already. All right. Let's talk about the legal aspects. Now, like I was telling you before, carrying concealed is an awesome responsibility. And if it occurs that you have to use your gun to defend yourself or your family, you're going to need protection. And there's a lot of, I guess they call it self-defense programs. Some people call it insurance, but what it basically does is you have access to a lawyer in these organizations that you join. And in my particular situation, I am a member of Texas Law Shield, and it's also called U.S. Law Shield because they expanded. And I have their number pre-programmed into my phone if I need to contact them in an emergency. And the person that answers the phone will be a lawyer. And you can talk to them, try and call them as quickly as possible after you've called 911. That's important too. If you have an incident where you have to shoot and everything like that, it's important for you to get on 911 if you can, as soon as possible, and emphasize the fact that you're the victim. And don't say too much more than that. I'm sure your lawyer will tell you not to say anything other than, here's what I've been told I'll say, is that I'm the victim, he's the bad guy. I'm willing to give a statement at a later time when I can collect my thoughts and consult with an attorney. And then that's all you have to say. Hopefully, and this is important too, because they say sometimes, it takes a couple of days for you to process everything that happened to you that day and to remember everything that day because you're under such high stress. That's another thing. Your adrenaline's going to be going like 1,000,000 miles an hour. So those are things you really need to consider. Okay? All right. Those self-defense programs, there's quite a few of them. One's called CCW Safe, I believe. And then there's the United States Concealed Carry Association. Just look them up on the internet and see which one you like. Talk to them, see what their coverages are, and find out what works for you. Okay. Well, I've gone a little longer on this video, but I went over the highlights. There's so many more things with concealed carry that you can learn. When you do go to these concealed carry classes, make sure afterwards you get with the instructor. Is there any other things I can do to better my position in concealed carry? In other words, the law and things like that. I would say that concealed carry, for me, I have to think about it every day. But I've been doing it for so long now, it's pretty much second nature now. And that's where you want to be. You want to be second nature on everything, on your shooting, on how you draw. Practice at home, what's known as dry fire, where you practice drawing your gun from your holster. Make sure there's no bullets in it. Make sure there's no ammunition in the room anywhere. And just practice drawing and shooting. And when you're shooting, try to use these dummy bullets. They're called snap caps. They're not a live round, but you put them in the gun to keep your gun from the firing pin from breaking or getting too much stress. And they work really well. But that's something I would really practice on. I've drawn my gun shooting and dry fired and all that so much that I mean, it's just second nature. It's become second nature to me, and that's what it's supposed to be. Remember this: you find yourself in that situation, and you have to use that gun under stress and all that adrenaline. Scientists have told us that your brain only goes to its lowest level of training. You notice you've seen in shooting situations where people have just given up and curl in the fetal position under a desk. And then you got types of people that run to the, they're known as what they call sheepdogs. In other words, they go to protect. And some people had put their bodies in line just to get to the person, or they have their own firearms and took care of business. That's something that you have to realize when you're carrying concealed. Okay, I think I've covered a lot, not too much. This video's ran longer than the last one, but I know I had to get it out and get it to you. And next time, we'll talk a little bit more about drawing, how to draw, and the way I do it. I know in my earlier video I talked to you about Weaver stance and isosceles stance, and I'm going to try and get more into the drawing part of it, and so y'all can see how that works. Okay, and maybe something else too, whatever I can think of. Okay, this is Lone Star Lawman saying so long from Texas, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. And by the way, be sure to like and subscribe, and put some comments down there. If there's anything I said that, hey, that doesn't sound right, or there's something that you liked, please comment in the comments. I really appreciate that. Okay? All right, this is Lone Star Lawman saying so long. See you next time.